So, hello guys, happy Independence Day. Where am I supposed to look? Hello. So, as you can see here, today is India's 75th, 76th, I think. 76th Independence Day, I guess, so 75th, okay. So, yeah, so this is 75th Independence Day. And what do we get from Google? So, as always, Google has this weird way of showing like local things to people and reminding us as how they're keeping us all in some bubbles. So this is Google India. So first thing I'm gonna check today is how does this look? How does Google look in Britain? So do they give this reminder to Britain also that today you have left place? It's still google.co.in. What if I do google.co.uk? United Kingdom, so they have some different privacy settings, I think. Separate policies for United Kingdom, non-personalized contents and apps. Okay, I agree. And look at that, fellas. This is just a simple Google. It looks way too simple, I should say. This is way too simple. Even in normal days also, we don't see this much simple Google over here. And also, they have this about store. What is this thing? Okay. So this about store thing they have, but I don't think we have it over here in India. Okay, so they have their own Google store in UK. Good. I guess we at some time in future will have here also, and Pixel 6 should come here. Okay, leaving all that aside, so the reason why why I'm doing this Independence Day stream today is because I think there are a lot of issues going on here in India this year, and one of the issue that I want to address is the truth about Independence Day. All right, so we got the independence from British said in 15th August 1947. It was a historic day when we got independence from UK. But the speculations that are so I should move to this screen, I think, when I'm talking to people. So there are lots of speculations, right? Like who did the most amount of contributions, as in like, is it Gandhiji that brought us freedom, or is it like the INA that is responsible for our freedom, like INA led by Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose? So my speculation about all this rumors and all these things that is taught in our history classes here. So what I feel personally that not a single person, not a single individual was responsible for the Indian independence. Of course, many great individuals have contributed to the fact that we be an independent country. But I think we give too much credit to people uh, who should not get that much. I mean, they should get that much credit, of course, but there is a truth side to it that is getting neglected because we are giving them such amount of attention, should I say? So, my my objective with this stream is to show people that there is a larger aspect of India's freedom that we often ignore because we are too busy with Gandhiji and Netaji and being like praising them on this day and watching some movies and shit and all, right? So, so the thing that I mostly will be happy Independence Day to you also, Suma. Can I? Yeah. Okay, we can. Okay, that's a cool new feature. Uh-huh. Okay. So the thing is, uh, so the thing is, so so there were a lot happening like 75 or 80 years from now in the world. So one of them, I should shift to this mode, I think. So one of them was undoubtedly the Second World War, World War II. Okay, so the Second World War was happening from 1939 to September 1945. So if you see, we got independence just 2 years after World War II had ended, right? So, so my point is, one of the main reasons why we got independence is World War II. Yeah. So yes, the World War II, the event itself is actually kind of responsible for our independence. I'll show you why. So earlier today, I had posted one picture uh, saying like a list of showing like list of countries ruled by Britain at some point. List of countries invaded, no, not invaded. Countries uh, got independence from UK. Yeah, so it's like this. So if you see this image over here, okay. So if you see this image over here, sharing a window. Okay, that's good. More details. Okay. So if you see this image over here, right? So these are all the. I should zoom it out a bit. Okay. So these are all the. Okay. So no one is saying. Okay, that's good. So these are all the countries that at some point of time got independence from Britain. Right. So so at the in 19th century and early 20th century also, Britain was a major superpower, as you can say, all over the world. So they ruled over all these countries at some point of time, right? And one of their greatest treasure was India. So most of their profits and resources that they gathered were from India. They used to get, because if you see Australia, that was like a barren land full of desert areas, I think. So so full of desert areas, I think. So this was largely unpopulated, and then they sent their settlers like prisoners to settle in that land, and then and they used to settle over. I don't know if you are able to see my mouse pointer here, right? So if you are able to see my mouse pointer, I don't know if it is visible or what. Okay, so I'm using this fairly new, in this software. Okay, so I don't know if I can map it or something else. There got to be a feature of some kind, right? Okay, so this Australia map, if you see, that is here. So so this Australia map, if you see here, so this one, yeah, I think that they are visible, right? So if you see this Australia map, so only place that can be livable by humankind even today are the coastal areas. All right, so if you see, I think Sydney is over here something. So and this coastal area is the only place they can live. The big portion of this Oceania, this Australia landmass is full of desert. So they couldn't gain much things from Australia, uh, and New Zealand as well. And only thing they did gain is some provinces over in Canada and United States. But the United States got early freedom, so they couldn't get much resources from US also. And rest of the countries, if you see, so this African continent is actually filled with uh, France, French settlers. So most of the continent was ruled by France, I think. And the British did have some of the colonies there also, but they were not so much influential over in African continent as the French were. So and there can be a lot of resources in Africa, although the most resourceful at that time in history was India, because all the spices and all the indigenous goods, muslins, and the clothes that the Britishers used to take and sell in Manchester, and the raw materials they used to take from here, they used to take from Bengal actually, and then they used to sell it in Manchester high price. I think some kind of things like that is still happening today also. For example, the phones they manufacture, the big companies, they used to do it. The manufacturing process mainly happened in Taiwan or China, and then they ship it back to those countries, branding them as Apple and all shits with brand value and all, and they sell it to the same country where they are actually manufacturing it. And this is Middle East. It was as ridiculous as before as it is today. So nothing can be said about that. And if you see this small portion, all this, I don't know, like this is Central America, but I don't know all the name of this countries, small countries, but I don't know if they used to gather, like they used to get a lot of profits from those particular countries. Okay, uh, so the point of the matter is, this was the only country that the Britishers used to get most amount of their profits or resources from, right? So so when the Portuguese discovered the route to India, and then consequently Britishers came as East India Company, and they and then gradually, like they will start from this right side, like this eastern side, and they will first defeat Nawab Siraj, and they will conquer the eastern region, right? And then they will defeat, I think, some Maharaj in Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, I think. And then these portions will be conquered by Britishers, and then gradually they will conquer the whole Indian subcontinent, right? So all Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and all these things they will conquer over the period of 150 years, I think. After that, they will stop expanding, and they will rule it, because there will be some major events like the 1857 revolt, I think. So after that, the it will be under the command of Queen, I think. Right. So Queen Victoria will take over the subcontinental jurisdictions and all. So the company will be gone, right? So so the thing is, they although we say that Britishers ruled us for 200 years, but it is not actually correct that they did not rule all of the provinces for 200 years. So some provinces took a bit more time to uh, get conquered by British, and some points were early. So they started from Bengal, right? So they started from eastern side. So and they created the city Kolkata, combining three villages. So the original capital of Bengal at that time, I think, was Murshidabad. But they created another capital, and then they made that one canon, right? So so all of the provinces were not ruled for 200 years, and before that also Britishers had business with the Mughal emperors. They used to trade with them with Silk Route, all right. So they used to trade in the spices and all those things. uh, so later they did all these things, and sooner, like at the end of 19th century, it became visible that people are not happy with it. So the only reason they were ruling this country was to get its exploit its resources, right? To rule over the people here, and get as much as they can. So no one is denying that, but there are actually evidences that Britishers used to plan their exit also at the start of 20th century. So, so if you see, I think if I open a new tab here, it should be visible. Yes, it should be visible. So, Britishers planned their exit of India. This was the ultimatum, but there were something around 1900. Maybe we'll get something from here. Okay, so there's another way we can know that. So if you see, this New Zealand is 1947. Actually, they left New Zealand on 1907, and this 1947 was for namesake only. So early 20th century, if you see the all around the map, you'll see all the countries have gotten their independence from Britishers in 20th century, but it actually began in early 19th century and in early 20th century. So if I open it, New Zealand independence from Britain. Dominion status was attained in 1907 and full independence was granted on 1931, ratified by New Zealand in 1947. Okay, so in early in 20th century, there were plans that Britishers know that they will not be able to hold it on for much longer, right? So they had plans to exit all the colonies, but they were stuck on India because it was their money cow, right? So they used to get most of their profits from our country. So they planned to hold on to it for a longer period of time. But there was another major factor to it. All right. So the another major factor was uh, it was 1914. So I think simple 1914 search will not do. So it was World War One, or otherwise known as the Great War. So, so from 1914 to 1918, so India actually helped Britain in that war, and they promised if India helps them in this great war, then they will give us self independence, right? So Swaraj, India in World War One. So if you see, this was 1 million, around 1.7 million actually. So 17 lakh, like around 18 lakh people uh, participated in World War One from Indian Army, and I just saw a recent documentary about the 61st Cavalry of India. 61st Cavalry, right? So 61st Cavalry is a horse-mounted cavalry. So we know that we don't have any need of horses right now, but this cavalry was created to show respect to the horses. The Jodhpur and Mysore regiment. Those were having right. If you see these battle honors Haifa, right? So this Haifa was one of the provinces near Israel, I think. It's something inside. Yeah, it is in Israel. So, India uh, fought against Turkey, Ottoman Empire, uh, during World War One, right? And there the Jodhpur and Mysore regiment were sent from India to fight in that war, and we were only having horses and spikes, right? So if you see Jodhpur regiment, Jodhpur Lancers, right? Lancers, yes, Jodhpur Lancers, 15 Imperial Service Cavalry Brigade. So this is Jodhpur Lancers. If I can just maximize this, it will be all right. If I can just maximize this, you'll be better able to see it. Okay. Yeah. So these were Jodhpur Lancers. All right. Uh, so these were the expendable foot soldiers that were sent to the front line by the Britishers in Battle of Haifa that was happening between the Allied forces and the Ottoman Empire. So we were part of the British Empire. So we were fighting from the British side, right? But we were used as cannon fodder, right? So these people, this Jodhpur regiment, right? Jodhpur Lancers. So they used to call them Jo Hukum Lancers. Jo Hukum Lancers because the British overlords, whatever they used to say, whatever they used to order them, they just had to obey it. Jo Hukum. So the Britishers mocked them, saying Jo Hukum regiment, Jo Hukum Lancers, right? So and these brave men were sent to the battlefield with spears, nothing but spears, against the Ottoman soldiers that were lavished with like machine guns and shit, right? So the Haifa. If I show you the land, Haifa, Israel. Hmm, Haifa. No. Okay. Maybe this one. I need some kind of physical map. Right. Physical map. Here you go. Nice audience. So Haifa was somewhere around here. It's not mentioned in this map. Somewhere around here, and this land that is here. This was like a mountain terrain kind of things. If you see, these are pretty high, and there is only one river going on here, and they used to go with the river. Now, the thing is, if you go with the river, it is easy to shoot at you. So the Ottomans used to bombard shells and machine guns from the banking area of that river, and they used to rain down on the Jodhpur regiment, right? They used to rain down on the machine guns and the bombshells and all things over on these people, and this was greatly unfair. This was greatly unfair with people with nothing but lancers to defend them. There was no long range options. You can throw your throw away your spears, I guess, but that wouldn't be of as much accuracy as guns. All right. So these people should wait, come back. Okay. So so this These people fought bravely for the Britishers. All right. So they fought bravely for the Britishers and they died for them and they won. They won the Haifa. It was an important strategic point in that war. And they defeated the Turkish Ottoman troops and they conquered the point. And honoring that, we created this 61st Cavalry. So the reason I'm telling that is in the First World War, they used the resources from our country more like they used our resources, our men, our people, to fight their war, and they used to send us in the most dangerous missions because so that the actual Britishers living happily in United Kingdom, they live happily, and they used to send us to the most dangerous front lines. Even they used to send us in like such kind of suicide missions, right? But the Jodhpur regiment were victorious. They managed to defeat the Turkish Ottoman, and we are proud of them. Now the thing is, after that, around 1930, the Swaraj, the urn for independence were really picking up pace, right? And the Britishers also knew that they won't be able to manage India for longer period of time. And now what they did is okay. So another point that Britishers used to plan India's independence long before 1947 was they tried to form governments, like as in a political settlement in this region. They used to they planned to grow them as a puppet government. So they appointed leaders, right? They appointed parties. They authorized some parties, like how Congress Party came into the picture, right? So the entire thing that happened during that period was because like they had a plan to leave the country as soon as possible, just at the start of 20th century, right? But they thought that it will be better to keep something in their hands. So if they convince, if they participate in the decision making of that government that is created on Congress Party at 1900s, then they will have much say on it, right? If you are understanding it. So they had a plan to leave, and that's why they were urging on to the opposition leaders to cooperate with them and to mutually settle it. They weren't ready to give up all the powers they had over this country, but they they will give them some kind of independence, but they will take a lot in return. So the thing is that people who got into that party and people who were legends at that time, they did not succumb to that. So from there it came that Purna Swaraj movement, right? So full independence they demanded. So they had plans, but it didn't go as well. So now comes 1939, right? So on 1939, Second World War began from here, right? Second World War began from here, and again the Britishers needed Indian support. So, but at this point of time, India was too much frustrated because it's our men, our people who were dying for their country, right? And we were not getting anything on return. And people, and especially Churchill, he did a famine in Bengal and killed 4 million people, I think, or I'm saying something less. So he killed so many people in here for their war uh, efforts. But Britain's military strengths were at all-time low. So they knew that they will have to use somehow the powers that they have in their colonies, right? So so the Australians and the New Zealanders, the Canadians, and all them. So Canada was already independent by then, but still Canada will support the Allies in Second World War. So Britishers formed these Anzac forces with most of the colonies, I think. Let's see who all were there. Anzac forces included. Hmm. Hmm. Failed naval attack. So, if you see British Indian Army, and this was their flag, by the way, consisted 205,000 men. It took in volunteers, and by 1945, it was the largest all-volunteer force in history, rising over 2.5 million men. Forces included tank, artillery, airborne forces. British Indian Army. The British Indian flag. These are fascinating stuff, isn't it? Okay. So these two flags they used to. It kind of reminds me of BCCI logo. So, like the point of the matter is 2.5 million Indian people fought in the British Indian Army in World War II, and they and they were part of something. So here comes the fascinating part. So they were part of the something known as Atlanta. No, not Atlanta. It was known as USA. Atlantic Charter. I think Atlantic Charter. That's what I was not getting. Atlantic Charter. Right? Atlantic Charter. Renewing. Okay, no, not this one. I want the old one. Some more concise, maybe. Geopolitical situations. While the meeting was successfully drafting this image, not in chapter. Okay. Nevertheless, Churchill realized a joint declaration was the most he could accomplish during the conference. While the United States will remain neutral, declaration relies more on the British public, right? Public, yeah, in sense of solidarity between EBS and Great Britain against Axis. In post-World War. One that would be characterized by freer exchange of self-determination, disarmament, collective security, especially for colonial subjects throughout the Third World, from Algeria, Vietnam, as they fought for independence. Entry. He was also pro-countering military actions. Okay. Okay, so the thing is, this Atlantic Charter, President Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt, US's president at that time, he proposed this Atlantic Charter to Churchill, Winston Churchill, and because he was in no shape of bargaining, that UK was not in that position to bargain against USA. There were 8 principal clauses of the Charter. No territorial gains were to be sought by United States or the United Kingdom. Okay, because if we know that territorial gains in First World War led to Second World War. Although the Allied forces will keep Germany in divided, and they will share some part of it, but mostly they did not expand their territory. Territorial adjustment must be in accord with the wishes of people concerned. All people had a right to self-determination. Trade barriers were too lower. There was global economic cooperation. Participants would work for a world free of want and fear. The participants would work for freedom of the seas. There was to be disarmament of aggressive nations and a common disarmament after the war. Also, said the both victor and the vanquished would be given market access on equal terms. So that was the reputation of the punitive trade relations that had been established within the Euro for one. Right? This thing is important, right? This thing is important. This Atlantic Charter. So because of this Atlantic Charter, so United States was forcing their ideals of freedom, right, on Britishers. That even after the war is complete, if I participate in this war and we succeed, and then we won't be doing the same mistake that we did in Versailles, right? The Treaty of Versailles that we did after First World War to the German folks. So the German folks were prohibited from a large amount of business opportunities, military opportunities, and all those things. They had too many restrictions. They had to pay reparations for that war, and that led to what happened in Second World War. They loosened up those rules after 20 years or so, but still those were enough. Those were enough to instigate the German people, and which led to the Second World War. So the US and President Franklin D. Roosevelt, they were not in favor of that. They're repeating the same mistake. So they emphasized this: victor and vanquished should be given market access on equal terms, right? And then all people had a right to self-determination. Territorial adjustment must be in accord with the wishes of the people concerned. So all this means is that United States, the United States forced Britain to to give up their territorial influences in their Commonwealth countries, right? In their colonies. So, and people used to people started acknowledging United States as a new superpower. So when this happened, right? This happened, and Britishers knew that Churchill knew. I mean, like, he had hoped that US would decide to commit itself. Okay, but decided US was not intended war. Okay, German occupation, Churchill rejected universal applicability self-determination relations with British India. 1942. Wrote to Roosevelt, I venture to think that Allied declarations and that allies are fighting to make the world safe for the freedom of individual democracy sounds hollow, so long as India and the matter, and for that matter, Africa are exploited by Great Britain. Okay, so this is a great thing. Self-determination was Roosevelt's guiding principle, but he was reluctant to place pressure on British in regard to India. And we were the cash cow to British, right? Other colonial possessions, as they were fighting for their lives in the United States, was not officially participating. It was to help the British or the American war effort against Germany and Japan in any way, and Roosevelt chose to back Churchill. India already contributed significantly in the war effort by sending 5 million men, the largest ever frontier force in the world, to fight for the Allies, mostly in West Asia and North Africa. Okay. Here you go. This is interesting. 25. Where is it? 25. Satha Sivam, page 59. Where is that anecdote? Not 25th is the citation that we need. Here. Okay, I guess if I write this one, Google, I will get something. Potential against alliance against them. Tokyo, the Atlantic Charter allied support for the militaries in Japanese government, more aggressive approach against US and Britain. Okay, this got me interested. So we were negotiating with these two world leaders uh, that we have already participated. We have already done our fair share of work, uh, right? So we are sending 2.5 million men and to fight your war, and what we want in return is our freedom, right? Mm-hmm. So now, what happened after that, right? What happened post-war? Let's see. Now, uh, chart. Sure. You can. Anti-colonial activities in Atlantic Charter. Things became really unstable post-war. Okay, this is too big. If I change my VPN to some other country for hey, what the okay. Post-war. Wait. Okay. Post-war. See what happens here. Okay, so it's kind of like after the war, they kind of want this decided like let's get out of this mess. Let's get out. Let's get ourselves out of this whole colonization business, and one by one they just tried doing that. But what triggered them? Well, Macmillan, I guess there was no single particular thing that triggered them. I think it was mostly the Atlantic Charter and that the fact that United Kingdom will no longer a superpower. United States is the main guy now. So whatever they will say, the UK will have to obey, kind of thing. And also another superpower came into picture that's so weird. And Japan did support or INA. So they thought it is a good time to get out of this mess because they no longer have the military might to hold it all together by force. All right. Uh, why did okay, here you go. Okay. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yes. So that is why there was a clause in our constitution, I think, that it cannot be a communist country ever. I think so, something like that, right? Let's see. Condition. Right, let's see. Maybe this one. Funny. I don't have access to this. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay, so I mean, this is all some fascinating stuff, but here's to conclude. Okay, okay. So to conclude. So here's to conclude that we. So the thing is,
So the thing is that our independence was indeed a byproduct of the Atlanta Charter and the world at that point of time, right? So you see at this point that UK is losing their mind. UK is downgrading, right, as a superpower. So just picture this scenario in your head. Right, so UK is no longer a superpower. There is a thing called World War II that has happened, and it has left the whole world in a greater mess than it was before. And here's some guy with some fancy ideals who has said that we will not do the same mistake as we did in First World War. So whatever defeated countries we have, we will leave them be. So for the next part, so this has set up a kind of sentiment over the colonized countries. So everyone had access to information, even in those days. So people used to read these things in their countries that the US is telling Britain about their giving up the territories that people are not happy with. Who people live in those countries, if they are not happy with it, then Britain should give up those countries, right? So this is, although Churchill defended it as this only applies to the gains we have made in Europe, like by defeating German forces and all, but people, once they have read it, people are resonated with it, so they wanted it same for all around the world, for all the colonies that they had. All right, and and then Churchill got defeated by the Labour Party. So the Labour Party in UK is kind of like was kind of a like close to the socialist political spectrum, a socialist phases, I must say. So Macmillan was a softer, if I say. So he was not a pro right wing, rule over the people, exploit them, that kind of man. So the attitude after World War II also had changed from Britain's side. So these people, they did not want to rule over this countries anymore. There was also a growing danger from communism that was coming from Soviet at that time, and US was also concerned about that. So Britain saw that if we keep oppressing this country, then Soviet influences are on rise. If because they are so the Soviet were taking advantage of this anti-Britain sentiments to instigate the people against, I should say, against a democratic authorization. They wanted to move people towards a communist regime. So they used to exploit these people sentimentally to show that see, if you live under this Britishers or this US regimes, you will be exploited at every point of time. So come join us, be part of the mighty Soviet Union, and then only you will be free in true sense, or whatever they meant. So they were, it was propaganda against propaganda kind of thing. So Britain saw this as a like warning sign. So they saw that if they had nothing to defend against that argument, right? So they were actually exploiting the people in this land. So they saw that if they leave the country early on and they give some conditions with the government that they are forming, like right? So they formed this Congress party, which were in government by the time they left. So if they make a deal with this government beforehand that you will not join the communist regime, so then we will give you the freedom. Okay, so this is kind of a deal that happened when the Britishers left India. But to their surprise, Jawaharlal Nehru, he suggested a third world solution, right? So he was a real diplomat. So he at that time he told Britishers, yes, we will not join the communist regime. And after they left, we said that we will not join the communist regime, but we do not detest them, right? So there are a lot of benefits that we can take from the Soviet. So they thought, the US and UK thought that we will be in their side, but we did not. We did not go to their side. We did not go fully towards Soviet regime also. So we maintained this condition more diplomatically. We created a third world that that consisted of new countries, uh, which were in no state to further be drawn to a new war. So we focused on our development. I think it is a good thing that we created a third world who will not mess with this democratic countries, uh, who will not mess with communist countries, but who will live in the shadows, who will work towards their own progression, and who will take benefits, diplomatic benefits from all of them, right? So we were not anti-democratic, we were democratic. So we were not anti-capitalist, although we were not fully capitalist as well. So we created a mixed economy, and we went over from there. Okay, so this is the thing. So I guess this whole thing uh, gave a little bigger picture, bigger understanding than when we started the stream. So I guess we will be meeting again next weekend. I will stop this podcast, whatever this is, a streamcast or stream now. Yeah, see you again. And let me know if you were able to hear me clearly. Okay, that's it.